The current Shem angel is Nelchael. Nelchael. This angel destroys black magic and the powers of evil spirits. Is part of the lore of the Shem angel. It destroys black magic and the powers of evil. And also, this angel teaches all kinds of knowledge. So, geometry, mathematics, geography, the abstract sciences. It rules wisdom and philosophy and wise and studious people. So you see two different things going on with this Shem angel. On the one hand, this angel has the evil averting qualities in that it may be used, it may be called upon to break curses, to break hexes, to break black magic, to get rid of evil spells, or to break evil spells, to break the powers of darkness, things like that. The divine attribute is Deus Solus, which I think there are several ways to look at this. In Latin, it means only God. And yet also, if you look at the Gematria, it seems to refer to a unity, which we'll get to here in a minute. That also, this unity or this uniqueness may have more of a monistic interpretation, depending on how you want to look at it. There is Gematria that may be connected with Keter and all of that. Now, I like to bring up all these different ways of looking at things so that the viewer and for people that are working through this can look at it from all different angles and we can draw our own conclusions. So, at any rate, these are the different things associated with this Shem angel. It destroys black magic and evil spirits and things like that. The divine attribute is Deus Solus, only God, or the unity, referring to unity or oneness. And this angel rules 10 to 15 degrees of Cancer. And so let's take a look at this. This is Shem angel number 21. Shem angel 21. According to the divine Kabbalah, and of course people were doing this before the divine Kabbalah, surely. This angel, I mean, if you're working with the tropical zodiac or whatever, this angel is associated with, I'm trying to remember the exact, July the 1st through the 5th inclusively, I believe, yeah. And so it's angel 21, Nelchael. Now, we need to address the pronunciation and the spelling of this angel name. Nelchael. This is spelled in Hebrew, Nun Lamed Chaf, which is actually Kaf without the Dagesh Lene. It's the same letter. It's a double letter, which we'll get into here in a second. Nun Lamed Chaf, Aleph Lamed, which, if you look at the three-lettered name of God, it has the Gematria of 100. And 100, of course, 1 plus 0 plus 0. Now, this may be confusing to some people. It's basically Gematria. That's what it is. And Gematria is a whole subject into itself. Unfortunately, I don't have time to break it down. But essentially, letters in Hebrew do double duty as numbers. So any word can be added up into numbers, and any number could be resolved into various words. Now, we need to be careful with Gematria, because Gematria is there to build possibilities and connections. We are building associations, a type of map of associations, which is constructive and useful and practical. However, we need to avoid Gematria becoming restrictive. We need to avoid building restrictive, limited views on things based on this. It shouldn't be a mental prison or a delusion. Therefore, just because words add up to a certain number does not necessarily mean anything. You can find virtually anything to add up to any number. And if you manipulate numbers and letters enough, you can get just about anything to mean anything. Okay? So just because two words add up together or sound similar, or any of these other things through Natarkon, Tamor, or any of this Gematria, so to a certain extent, it is just nonsense in a way. However, in my opinion, my humble opinion, I could be wrong. But that's not the point. Gematria is useful in building connections and finding associations, okay? But we should never be limited by our Gematria. So that's just a little note there, just a little reminder. But the Gematria, and we need to be careful doing this with Shem angels. Just because a number adds up, just because a Hebrew word adds up to 100, which is Nun is 50, plus Lamed is 30, which is 80, plus Chaf, which is Kaf without the Dagesh Lenain. It's the same letter. Double letters in Hebrew. So there are 3 mother letters, 7 doubles, which originally probably in ancient Hebrew, each of the 7 double letters had double sounds. Okay, so Kaf with the Dagesh Lenain, without it is Chaf. Same way with the letter Beit, with the Dagesh Lenain, without it's Veit. But anyways, so the pronunciation, yes. So there is some, okay, so Agrippa spells this in Latin or English letters, Nelchael. So this way that I do it. Agrippa spells it this way, so does the Divine Cabal, so does Lazare Lenain's Le Science Kabbalistique. Interestingly, Dr. Rudd does it a different way. Nelchael or whatever. So Dr. Rudd actually, because Dr. Rudd's where he mixes it with the Goetia, and that's a whole other topic, but it's interesting. Now, these spirits don't have anything to do with each other. Historically speaking, there's no reference of connecting these before Dr. Rudd and his idiosyncratic system, which many people find useful and powerful. I haven't worked the system myself. Many people have used it. But it is interesting. These spirits are unrelated, in my opinion, originally. However, it's interesting that both Goetic demons and the 72 Goetic demons and the 72 Shem angels, they seem to both put a lot of focus on like knowledge and geometry and mathematics and rhetoric and philosophy and like people learning and languages. I don't know. Not all. I mean, there's a lot more to it than that. It's interesting how that, and one group of spirits is Chthonus, or, earthy, or Chthonus, and then the other is celestial. And I am not equating them, absolutely not. I don't do that. I respect people that do that, but I don't. All I'm doing is noting that I try to look at all different aspects of this, but it's just interesting that both groups of spirits, which I personally see as unrelated, both groups of spirits seem to focus a lot on like knowledge and, philosophy and rhetoric and, things like that. So Agrippa, so the sources tend to agree that in English or Latin letters, it would be spelled Nelchael. Now the CH is pronounced ch. There is no exact sound like this in English. It's the closest, you could say that it is a harsh H sound, like an H, like huh, but stronger huh. It's like in the throat, like you're hacking, like you get a fly in your throat. I hate to describe it that way. I don't mean irreverence or anything. It's the only way I could think of to describe it. Like you get a fly in the back of your throat, you're like huh. But anyways, is the sound Nelchael. Now, which is a similar sound to the Hebrew letter chet, but in this case, it's actually the letter kaf without the dagesh lenain, which makes it a chaf. Okay, so if you have trouble pronouncing the ch, don't worry about it. But you can just do an H sound, Nelchael. Okay, Nelchael. Now, like I said, Dr. Rudd writes it in English or Latin letters is Nelchael or whatever. So there's that difference. But most sources agree it should be Nelchael. Now, let's take a look at, on the art of the Kabbalah, if you've got this book. On the art of the Kabbalah, this is De Arte Kabbalistica, written by Johann Reuchlin in the year published in the year 1517. So this work was published in 1517. It was a very influential work, especially among Gentiles interested in the Kabbalah at the time. In the 16th century, De Arte Kabbalistica, again, this was published in 1517. It talked about the Shem angels. Let's see what the De Arte Kabbalistica has to say about this angel. Again, we're going to the 16th century source. I'm going to include a link if people want to purchase it. This book has the Latin and then the Hebrew, and then on the other side it has the English. So, where was I? So we're going to go to page, is it 270? If I go by what I remember here, let's see, 270. Let me see. All right, so let's take a look at this book here. If you have a copy, I recommend you get it out. And let's take a look here. Oh, y'all, we've got some stuff on the way. I don't want to spill it. I want to surprise people. I don't want to tell people, yet. I want to surprise. There is a lot that is on the way. So as you see here, I'm looking at this right here. It's listing the Shem angels. Now it lists the Psalm verse. De Arte Kabbalistica lists the Psalm verse in 1517. Okay, so let me look for this angel here. So this is angel 21, so hold on a second. Okay, I found it here. And so it says here in De Arte Kabbalistica, okay, I'm looking in the book on page 279. So I'm going to provide a link if you want to buy a copy. I'm not in this for the money, I'm not. But if you happen to buy a copy anyways, I have a monetized link, which I get a little commission. But you don't have to, but if you do. But if you have a copy of this book, which is a classic, and it's a good addition to have to your library because you have actual 16th century source material. When you read the 16th century source material, you're reading what MacGregor Mathers was reading. You're reading what A.E. Waite was reading. You're reading what Levy was. You're reading what they were that they were like this type of ferment that existed in the late 19th. Anyways, this is the Renaissance magic that this is the fount they're drawing from. So what does it say on page 279 about in the middle? It says NLK, which anyway, it says here, "But I have hoped in you. I have said, you are my God." Okay. So the Lord guards you. The Lord is your protection over your right hand. Interesting. Okay. Or is that... Yeah. So let's take a look at this. So now we're going to pull up this book here. This book is very important for the Shem. Now, there's some stuff in here. I try not to impose my opinions on people. Some of this stuff I don't use. Like the 20-minute cycle. This genius rules from this time, or this one, or the way it divides it, like each of us have like 3 different personal geniuses. I don't get into all that. I think he's being very innovative, which is great for people that find it useful. This book was published in 1823. As you see here, yes, I know it's backwards. 1823, though. This book was published in 1823. By Lazare Lenain, originally in French, Les Sciences Kabbalistiques. And then Papu, Gerard Oncasse, he republished it, okay, in 1909. So it was going around this couple of centuries until finally Pierce Vaughan, wonderful job. Pierce Vaughan, he's still out there doing stuff. Great job, Pierce Vaughan, Not that I dare think that he'd watch my video, or that he'd be out there watching necessarily, but great job on this, because this was only held pretty much by French-speaking people, okay, for a couple of centuries, and now it's available to an English-speaking audience. And what a lot of people find useful is he gives the offices of the spirits. Now, this is late. It's 19th century, 1823. But pretty much, I don't want to ever say universally, but when you look at the numbers of people that work with the vast majority of people that work with the Shem angels, the offices come from this book. Now, he draws from this book and Agrippa and everything. Now, for example, you look at the divine attribute in here, every now and then there's differences. but usually they come right, they're picked right, lifted right out of, well, actually, that's another book, Athanasius Kircher's Oedipus Egyptiacus, published in 1654, so that's 17th century Shem Angel material. And so let's take a look what Lazare Lenain has to say in 1823. So this is 19th century. And of course, this would later influence like the Martinists and Golden Dawn and all of that. But actually, hold on just one. I apologize. This is I don't normally do this, but I have to just use it real quick. I hate this, these intermissions. Give me just one moment. And we're about to read from this right here. Actually, give me just 1 second. I'll be right back, y'all. I really appreciate your patience. I think on YouTube, I'm going to cut this out. It'll be no more than like a minute. Hold on just a second. 60 seconds. All right, y'all. So, thank you for your patience. You guys are ever so kind. All right, y'all. So let's take a look here, y'all. All right. So let's see here. Shem Angel 21, Nelchael. Is that so let's go to the office. Oh, the Psalm verse. Let's start with the Psalm. Now, with his 20-minute cycle, which I don't personally use, some people use it and find it useful. I found that I don't really get much difference with the hour well, I use the planetary hours usually with the hour of the sun. And if I don't have the hour of the sun, I do the hour of Mercury. But I found I tested it against not using planetary hours. I don't really see a difference. And which is what my grimoire teacher that I've worked with for years, that's his way of seeing things. And, you know, because we're all drawing from one another and helping to pull one another up. And we're all part of a rich tradition. And we're all standing upon the backs of our forebears. And hopefully we are able to lift others up. So that bit by bit we're able to pull each other up until we finally get to scale the heavens. Maybe just a bit. So, Nelchael, it says here that he governs 6:40 a.m. to 7 a.m. If you use daylight savings like we do right now in the United States, it would actually be 7:40 to 8 a.m. Okay? And I don't use that timing. But anyways, let's go to the Psalm verse. It's a universal across, like, if you look in Athanasius Kircher's Oedipus Egyptiacus, it matches here, it matches the Divine Kabbalah, it's all the same Psalm verse. In the Masoretic text, used in most Protestant Bibles and in the Jewish Bibles, the Masoretic text, it's Psalm number 31, verse 14, usually. But I trusted in thee, O Lord. I said, thou art my God. My times are in thy hands. Now, the Latin, I like the Latin. I love to use the Latin. I like to chant the Latin. I like to chant the Latin like a mantra sometimes with the incense and swaying back and forth. And my Astral, I use some kind of modern modern pseudo shamanism. I'm very careful about using terms that really are part of something. I prefer to use like a pseudo because what I'm referring to is merely a change in consciousness. I try to be careful with words, although we all mess up with words sometimes. We try to do the best that we can, and how we express ourselves. But it says here, Lord, okay, but I trusted in thee, O Lord. I said, thou art my God. My times are in thy hand. Now, my advice here, there are many people that don't want anything to do with Psalms. It makes them uncomfortable. It smacks of religion. Many people feel that way. What is my advice? First of all, I would never try to tell someone else how to do their practice. It is individual. Don't let anybody tell you what to do. What I recommend is keeping a written record and try different things and log the results afterwards, and you find what works for you over time. So you're not going based on people's opinion. You're going by your own direct experience, okay? So that we can bring a little bit more of a, I don't want to say scientific, but that type of method to the, to this. But, so Nelchael. But my advice is, I don't ever want to tell people what to do, but my approach is that the Psalm verse is just part of the technology. It's like a telephone number. I look at the Psalm verse, it's like a telephone number to the angel. I don't worry about if it resonates, or I don't worry about, like, I'm there to dial in, the talk. I hate to put it in such a wonky way. I'm just the best way I could convey what I'm trying to convey. However, now I don't have any qualms with the Psalm verses. I have no problem with this idea of God or whatever, You use different cosmologies or models, okay? You can call it the Kabbalistic one, or however you want to see this, okay? Experiment, try it out. I use the Psalm verses pretty much throughout the tradition. The Psalm verses were an integral, they're a part of the technology of calling the angel. I recommend using them. But I recommend people try it out. See, do whatever you want to do, okay? Or try it out. Nelchael. Psalm verse, but I trusted in thee, O Lord. I said, thou art my God. My times are in thy hands. Now, like I said, we want to keep our feet planted on the ground while keeping the mind open to possibility. We want to both be open to possibility while keeping the feet planted on the ground. So with Gematria, like I said, we don't want to be trapped in a bunch of silliness with Gematria. We want to get in the Gematria and get out. We want to get in, see if there's some useful associations we can find, and get out. We're not going to get lost in this, at least the way that I do this, okay? And this is how we try to walk the path of balance, and trying to avoid extremes, and trying to keep ourselves upon the as close as we can, the path of the razor, trying to keep a sharp edge, to try to cut away all illusion, and, try to go straight forward, to try to be sharp and precise. So, anyways, so it's interesting that the Gematria of the Hebrew letters, if you take off the L at the end, it's 100. Nun, Lamed, and Kaf, or Chaf, is 100. Which is 1 plus 0 is 1. Unity was the divine attribute, Deus Solus, only God, or this unity. Now, interestingly, also, and it's 10 squared. So it could also be seen as unity and manifestation, but it is still that unity. It's that uniting principle that's found throughout all things. So also, if you add up Kaf and Pe or Fe, Kaf, that's Kaf is 20 and Pe is 80, you get 100. And 100, there's several things you could say about that, but among several, Kaf actually means the palm. And the palm, you could see it as the guiding hand that guides us, not to mention all the tarot associations and everything else. Also, the Hebrew word kelim, which means vessels, kelim, the plural word of vessels, as we are all vessels of the infinite light, as all the Sephiroth are there to receive the infinite light of Ein Sof, or the infinite light. And just as we are all vessels, okay, we are all the kelim, the vessels of the divine, all right? The kelim, if you add up kelim, you have Kaf is 20, Lamed is 30, Yod is 10, Mem is 40. So 20 plus 30 is 50, plus 10 is 60, plus 40 is 100. Kelim, the vessels, Gematria is 100. Now, if you add El at the end, the angel name, Nelchael, you get 131, which is the 100 plus the 31 of El. So 131 is the gematria of Mehusa. Now, if I am not I don't speak Hebrew. I know how to read Hebrew to a certain extent, and I know just like basic I could read a Siddur and a service, have trouble catching up, to everybody else around. But yeah. So Mehusa. Mehusa means concealed or covered or concealed. Mehusa is a title of Keter. Mehusa. The gematria of Mehusa is 131. Mehusa is a title of Keter, the concealed, okay, or the veiled. Also, the Hebrew word ethen, which is to turn or roll, ethen. Now, it's interesting that this angel refers to the Ophanim, and Ophin means turning or wheel, and the Ophanim are, let's back up. According to Athanasius Kircher's Oedipus Egyptiacus, published in 1654, he divides the 72 Shem angels amongst the 9 Christian choir of angels that we have in the Dionysius the Areopagite. So this angel, according to this text, is according to Athanasius Kircher's Oedipus Egyptiacus in 1654. According to that text, this angel Nelchael is actually one of the thrones. Now, the thrones is the third highest hierarchy in the Christian hierarchy of the angels. The thrones. So the 3 highest being the seraphim, cherubim, and the thrones. Now the seraphim are the highest. Next come the cherubim, and finally the thrones. The thrones are often seen to be the equivalent of the Hebrew Ophanim, which are the wheels within wheels. And the wheels within wheels are often associated with some of the most sacred mysteries of the Holy Kabbalah. And of course here I'm referring to the mysteries of the Merkava, or the chariot. And so the Merkava and the chariot, and so the thrones were often interpreted as being basically the thrones of the chariot, which are conducted in, and so you have the Ophanim, or the wheels, and then of course you had the cherubim, and this divine vision of God. So it's interesting that often means turn or roll or wheel, and that has the gematria of 131, and Nelchael is said to be one of the thrones, so that seems to kind of show a confirmation. Now, once again, with the gematria, we're getting in there, find some interesting things, and get out. We're not getting lost in the sea of, we're not doing that, okay? We're trying to keep our feet planted. Did laptop just shut off? Why did it? Well, I guess it wasn't So back to this, so there are various methods for contacting the angels. Of course, we can never disregard prayer. Now, okay, so these 72 Shem angels are associated with magic. The first mention of these we can go back to the 3rd book of Enoch, to the 5th century if we wanted to, and pull up the reference of the 72 angel princes under Rachatiel that turns the constellations. The 72 angel princes that govern the 72 nations of the earth and the 72 tongues. We could, of course, go to the 3rd book of Enoch of the 5th century and pull this up, which would be chapter... Anyways, I don't want to veer the thing off, but I had it memorized. I think, I know it's the 3rd book of Enoch, chapter 6, verses 6 through 8. I don't remember that. I know it's in the 3rd book of Enoch, and I've got it written somewhere. Anyways, if you go to my profile and you click the little search function, and you search for Shem Angel, Book of Enoch, then you can pull up these keywords. My profile, it's best if you're in my Facebook looking for videos and things, that you search through for keywords in my profile so you can pull up certain things. Now, back to this. So what was next? Oh, there are different methods. Now, traditionally with ceremonial magic, you would probably be having a crystal ball and trying to scry to communicate with the angel. Some people may want to cycle through the 72 Shem angels as a type of initiation, and some may want to work with them as they feel comfortable along. We don't have to begin running and leaping. We could begin with a gentle, soft walk, if we'd like. Maybe we could take a rest every now and then. Although people, some of us like to run and leap and just hit the ground running, y'all, you know? Me personally, I enjoy, well, it's not about me. So there are different methods. You could use scrying crystals. You could try to scry and fire. You could normally use a clear crystal without blemish, as described in a lot of the grimoires. You could use various things. If you don't have a scrying crystal, you could take a wine glass and fill it with water or wine as an offering to the angel. Although me personally, some people, I have respect for Aaron. He has a great Solomonic group, and he does great. His Enochian magic books are phenomenal. Aaron Leach, but he, what was I gonna say? He leaves offering and fruit and all these things to the angels. Me personally, I don't do that. However, there are many different approaches in the magical community. And I think when we realize that we have different approach, like that's important, you know? I can't say that is valid, you know? For me, I don't do that. But anyways, I'm going off topic. A glass of water, fill it with water. Holy water would be good. Holy water from a church. I like to get all the correspondence I can. I like to get a wine glass. If it was me, I would fill the wine glass with holy water from a Catholic church. I would put it in between two white candles. And if you do it right, the light of the candles makes the glass kind of glow. You may notice bubbles forming in the glass. You may notice some interesting phenomena in the glass of water. Anyways, that's getting into some spiritualism practice and some Allan Kardec type of stuff. We don't want to go too far, you know. Ectoplasm. No, I'm kidding. Okay, no ectoplasm, y'all. So some people use scrying with stones. Some of you may like to paint a black mirror. Paint it on one side, flip the glass around, you have a black mirror, or you could use obsidian, of course, which is lava or glass. You could use many scrying. Some people like to sigil scry. Look at the sigil, or you could create a Shem Angel pentacle. I made videos. I talked about how to make a Shem Angel pentacle. You could use the Shem Angel pentacle I talk about to sigil scry. Look at the sigil of the angel, and then just focus, or the actual sigil like you see in Welcome Manuscript 3203 or Welcome Manuscript 1434, but the divine and sacred Kabbalah. But anyways, where was I go? So, yeah, there's many methods. Now, the Divine Cabal. Mentioning the Divine Cabal, what does the Divine Cabal say? It's a dream magic book. Now, dream magic and spirits and grimoires, that goes back through the beginning. You can find it in the Hygromantia, okay? And you can find it in the Key of Solomon. There's dream work, okay? And throughout the grimoire tradition, although it's not the most common, perhaps. The Divine Cabal is a dream magic book, grimoire, with the Shem Angels. And it dates, I think, back to the 1800s. So it's an interesting little text, the Divine Cabal. You put the sigil of the angel under your pillow. The Divine Cabal uses my way of timing, where you follow the sun through the tropical zodiac. The Divine Cabal says, right now, Nelchael, governs from July 1st to the 5th inclusively. And then, I believe, God, I hope that's right, because I'm pretty sure. And then, what was the next thing? Oh, some of you want to use a scrying mirror. Okay, scrying mirror. Put the black mirror, call on the Shem Angel. Some of you may want to use astral projection techniques, which I highly recommend that people experiment with. Now, astral projection methods are controversial in the community. most traditional, a lot, I don't speak for any, a lot of traditional grimoire magicians, in my opinion, won't like astral projection. They'll consider it New Age. But, whatever. One man's meat is another's poison. So where was I? Oh, yeah. So astral projection. Now, astral projection is a very broad subject. Now, some of you know that I've been doing the Monroe tapes again, and some of you know that I do plan to do some videos talking about the Monroe tapes and the binaural beats. Now, that's a different method that could be very useful, but that's another form. People weren't using binaural beats with headphones in India, They weren't doing that 500 years ago. What were they doing? They were using, there's a whole bunch of other methods. I recommend the simple, just visualize slowly that you're leaving your body and going up to space right above Earth. Try to have your interaction with the angel or go on whatever journey and then come back to your body. Is it a visual journeying? Is it in your head? In my opinion, the goal should be, now I don't want to tell anyone else what their goal should be. In my way of looking at this, which I only share, not that anyone has to agree with me, just kind of share my perspective. My view is that this type of active imagination, astral travel, should ideally lead to eventually full out-of-body experience that's as real as that. That should be the goal. You want to be in Oz. You want to clonk out. You want to scale the heavens and be you want to go. What was I saying? Dang it! What was I saying? You want the full experience. You want it as impactful as you can, in my opinion. But in my opinion, in my personal unverified analysis experience, I noticed that doing those types of things, I noticed more full out-of-body experience or lucid dreams or whatever they are. I'm still trying to figure it out. All I know is it is beyond these types of interactions with angels and spirits and with, initiation. What if you're in an out-of-body experience or lucid dream and you try to perform a ritual? And now, lucid dream, astral projection, these are two totally different things, or are they? All I know, what if you're having a lucid dream and you try to do a ritual and see the effect? It would be interesting, write the results. Not only that, but you're bringing greater and greater consciousness even into dream. If we are more conscious even in the times when we are most asleep, if we could bring consciousness into those states as much as possible, maybe it's just a closer glimpse a closer movement towards being awake when we are awake in our waking state. It is a movement towards lucidity, towards awareness, towards greater consciousness. And if we sleep 8 hours a day, that is a third of a day. 8 hours is a third of 24 hours. If we sleep a third of a day, that means we sleep a third of our lives. Ideally, if you want to be healthy. So, if you're lived to be 60, that means you slept for 20 years. Do you want to lose 20 years of your life and forget? I don't. I think that lucid dreaming is very useful, very good, and it is certainly an expansion. Whatever may be said of it, it is an expansion in which we are more than we were before. An expansion has more capability. It is a broadening. We are more than we were before, so in a way we are stepping upward. We are going in a more expanded direction. We're more than who we were before, which in my opinion should be the goal. I always like to bring in a little theurgy with my thaumaturgy, I like to have a little bit of both. It's like salt and pepper, y'all. Now, what was the next point? Dream methods. If you're going to use dream method with the Shem angels, man, I didn't really expect to go through all these various Shem angel methods, but I want people to try all of it and write it down. Write it down and then compare what you wrote down when you used the dream. Are you going to remember your experience 5 months ago if you're doing these things all the time? maybe you won't remember what happened on July 7th of last year, okay? This is my way. I try to bring in the most that we can we want to get the most out of this. We don't want to be lax in our training. If we are lax in the gym, then that can create some problems. We don't want to leave any cracks in our boat to where the water can seep through and our boat sink. We want to have a solid vessel, okay? We want to have solid walls in our temple. We want a fortress that is strong. We don't want to be struck down by the first gale that blows. So, the dream method. If you're going to use the dream method, you have to remember your dreams first. So, I used the dream method with the Shem angels years ago, and it didn't, at the time I had one. I don't want to go into my experiences with the angels, but it's very important to first remember your dreams. So if you plan to use dream work with the angels, which is very common, it's important to have a dream record or a dream journal. Write down your dreams as soon as you wake up, and this will help to build awareness. This is a lot to go into, and I plan to go into each one of these things into greater detail because we have all the time in the world. I'm not going anywhere. We're going to go into all this stuff, y'all. Not today, but, bit by bit and yard by yard. We're going to get there. I encourage people to change it up and use different methods. Sometimes you may have to ram from different angles until you break through the barrier. Sometimes you may have to test different parts of the fence until you find the weak point. Sometimes you may have to try different approaches. You may think this approach is the best and this way's always worked. I don't really need any other method, which is fine. But what if you tried another method and it's like, whoa, this is the way. I thought this was the way. Oh my God, this is it from now on. And then keep expanding and keep expanding. And you may find someone that your preferred method is not really what's for them. But maybe you can help this person because you know other methods that maybe don't resonate with you that may be good for another person. So we have to keep in mind that just as we all have our own frequency, we're all kind of dancing to the beat of our own drum and our own rhythm. My music may be at a different beat than yours, okay? But that's how we realize that it's all valid. That shows how we're not really all in conflict with one another, but we're all part of a greater. All together we make a symphony of music. Each instrument plays, but it's all part of the universal symphony. So the homework. I'm going to start issuing homework. Not that I am some grand master issuing fiats to my viewers. However, I think it's useful, and some people, I think it'll be useful. Okay? People can accept or reject as they will. However, I think that it's good to try things out. Try it out, Maybe people can try my advice out and see what happens, Try it out. It's like a changing room. Try my advice out for size. My homework, I would like people to try to work with the angel using the guided, just the simple astral, just visualize slowly that you're leaving your body, go up above the earth, have your interaction, come back down. Some will critique this method. Look, I've used crystal ball. I've used all these different methods. I don't want to tell anyone what to think. I would encourage people to just try it out. See what you think. Try this because not everybody is going to have a full or needs even to have a full-on out-of-body experience, to have an interaction with the Shem angel. This is all you... Just try it out. See what happens, write it down. And, if that method doesn't resonate, okay, you've done that. Next, we're going to make a scrying mirror, y'all. In fact, I might do a video on the making your own scrying mirror at home. Little arts and crafts time, y'all. So, anyways, I encourage trying one method, and if it doesn't really quite fit, try another method, okay? And try it all out. And like I said, even if you end up not resonating with the method, maybe you could help someone else, that maybe that would be the method for them. So that is pretty much it. My homework is I want people to work with this. Think of something, one thing. I recommend one thing within the office of the angel that you would like to manifest. Have your interaction, write it down. Now, that is my video for today. Now, I did do so we're like 2 days in, so we got like 3 days left with the angel following the sun through the tropical zodiac. It's not required to use any timing. You could work with any angel at any time. I'll repeat that. You can work with any angel at any time if you want. Just write it down and compare it with using more using timing. Me personally, I prefer timing because just write it down and see for yourself. Don't listen to, what others tell. See for yourself, okay? That is my opinion, and that's it. So, anyway, so that's it. That is this current Shem angel, Nelchael. Again, the CH sound is a ch. It's like you get something in the back of your throat, ch. Like in Hebrew, l'chaim is like to health. Chai is life, ch. And in Arabic too, there's like a ch sound. Now, if you can't do that, just make an H sound or a strong H. Nelchael. So the CH is actually a ch. Some equate it to a Scottish CH like lock, but to me that's more of a cat. No. I mean, some people do that. Okay, you can. Anyway, so that's it for now, and I will see y'all in the next video. All right? So if you're just popping in live, then pop back here in like a minute, and it'll all be. And then I'm also about to upload it to YouTube. By the way, those of you that are watching on YouTube, if you want to catch me live, go to my Facebook. Now, I've maxed out on I've got the 5,000 friend limit, but if you hit add friend, it'll become a follower, and it's the same thing. It's all my stuff, like it's all public, like it's the same thing. You hit add, you become but if you want to catch me live, Facebook. And I do my lives, I always do my lives on Facebook. That's where you catch me live. That's where we have interactions. I put stuff on Facebook that I don't put on YouTube or anywhere else. It's not really intentional. It's just kind of how it ended up happening. Like, that's where all my stuff is. But anyways, I just recommend, now, if you're on YouTube, which I'm about to upload to YouTube also, if you go to my pinned post, by the way, is everything. It has a couple of keywords in there to kind of help maybe the algorithm. And then also, it has links, commission links, if you want to buy a book, although you don't have to. And then also, it's got my Patreon. My Patreon, I try to make knowledge free for everyone. My Patreon is a way to support my work. And then, what I was leading to was, with this angel, I'm going to start putting instructions in there. Oh, at the very bottom, you'll see a link to my Facebook. So when I upload to YouTube, if you go to the pinned post, scroll to the bottom, it'll show a link to my Facebook. Go add me. It'll become a follower, but that's where all my stuff is, And, there was something else. I'm trying to think what it was. Isn't that the way it has to go, Of course, yeah, that's the only thing. I think I've covered a great deal of ground, but there was something. If I do think of it, I'm going to add it to the pinned post. We're going to do it that way, y'all. Anyways, thank you so much. I really do appreciate each and every one of y'all. We're on this spiritual journey together, and really it's all about that. It's about the path. We're on this journey together. We're going to make it happen. I'm so excited, and I know that many y'all are going to receive blessings, and I know it, I'm not trying to be one of those, toxic positivity gurus or any of these, no. But there are different types of faith. There's a faith that's based in blind belief, and then there's a faith that is a little bit creative, a little constructive. It is a verbal fiat. It is a speaking into being. I know and I believe that many of you are going to be blessed and have doors opened and roads cleared and the Shem, that's kind of we don't normally use those terms, but in my view, like they're the biggest like road open. In my in all the years, the Shem angels, that's a term normally used in other traditions and communities, but they're definitely road open. But this angel is more associated with knowledge and destroying the powers of evil spirits and malicious magic. So, I will leave y'all with that, and I will see y'all with the next video. Alright, see y'all in the next video, y'all. Y'all have a great day. Thank you.